You're listening to the Money Mike Syndicated Radio Podcast. How we doing? How we doing? It's prime time. Colorado football took care of business once again. And man, oh man, is it prime time up in the building. Folks, you're talking about Colorado doing what it does best. This is the Money Mike Syndicated Radio Podcast. Colorado took care of business today. Went up to Texas Tech, took a ball game. And you know what? They took a ball game from some more talented players with a whole lot more size. But it always, with prime time, I'm going to tell you something about prime. I've been knowing prime a long time. This is the Money Mike Syndicated Radio Podcast. Prime, it always believed it's not the size of the dog, it's the size of the fight in the dog, right? So when you get to this is not to talk about Colorado football. This is more to salute prime time Deion Sanders. Okay, because I've never seen a man. Okay, I'm gonna go a step further than that. I've never seen an African American male take so much abuse and keep on high stepping. Prime been high stepping all year long. Okay. And I go way back with Prime. I'm born and raised out of San Francisco. And you know what? When Prime time, they had to call Prime. So when you see that Rolex and Stephen A. Smith, I'm going to call out some names tonight. Coach JB, Jason Whitlock. These are all the clown show, right? Because here's the deal that went down. They all told you Prime couldn't coach. Oh, he got the sunglasses. Oh, he got this. Let me tell you something. Prime, people been calling Prime for a long time, right? They've been calling Prime. And then let me tell you about what I mean when you call Prime. You see Eddie D? That's Eddie D. Bartello of the San Francisco 49ers. We couldn't beat Dallas, right? So Eddie D got on the phone and he called Prime because we couldn't get a Super Bowl. I mean, Dallas was cleaning the clock in San Francisco. Cleaning the clock. And Deion's a different cat, man. He's not one that is moved by your emotion. He's more moved by his emotion. And I've been watching Prime for a long time. So I'm gonna take you back to stuff. I remember the day he took the young quarterback on up there to Snoop Dogg, and Snoop Dogg visited with him. And Snoop Dogg told him, look, man, your boy can play this quarterback. Then he had his young son who was into music. He said, I pay engineers a lot of money to do what he can't do, right? So Prime has always been on the edge. And one thing about Prime, he's never satisfied, right? So you got to look at that. And he found somebody that also was never satisfied. That's Big Warren Sapp, right? You talking about underdogs, because here's the deal. In the world today, African American men are not successful. That's what's being preached in the narrative all around. African American men can't coach football, right? But I always came back at everybody and say there's no way possible you could be in the Hall of Fame and not coach the game of football. Because just to play in the NFL, you have to have a master's degree. You know how you get a master's degree in English? You get a master's degree in math. You get a master's degree in business. You got to have a master's degree to play in the NFL because the playbook is so thick and there's so many reads and so much on film you got to take in. So these guys stay in the film room. And here's what I liked about Prime. Prime says, look, Warren, you get your degree. Come on, coach, man. If you ain't got no degree, I can't help you. So what did Big Warren do? Warren went on back and got the degree, right? But Warren's a Hall of Famer. These guys don't do this leaking for money or anything like that. They do it because they love the game. Now, Prime is different. I'm going to let y'all know a little bitty secret that nobody knows, but I'm going to tell you now so everybody does know. This is the Money Mike Syndicated Radio Podcast, and this is just a straight-up salute to Prime, right? Because I know everybody in the world dogged him out. Said he couldn't coach, couldn't do this, couldn't do that. Not qualified for this, not qualified for that. Let me tell you guys something. Prime is overqualified, right? He's overqualified, right? And he's got, man, I watched this guy today, this receiver here, Shield. This guy is a big-time NFL player. I'm looking at all these NFL players running around, and everybody was yelling and screaming that Colorado has cut all the players. Now they on the road taking down games. Now, again, you talking about Prime couldn't coach, right? Prime wasn't qualified, couldn't do it. You look at Coach JB on Netflix. You talk about embarrassment. You got Jason Whitlock, Steve Kim. For me, I got to salute Big Matt Macheski, right? Because Matt stood in that show, right, and listened to all that dog food, right? They was putting out dog food after dog food after dog food. They even went to the extent that say that Shador Sanders wouldn't even be drafted. Can you believe that, folks? This is the Money Mike Syndicated Radio podcast, and I'm wondering, how does a man that don't smoke, don't drink, has got a NFL Hall of Fame credential, has won everywhere he's ever been? I mean, folks, let me put it to you like this. I'm a really say something here that I want you to understand. HBCUs don't beat Florida State, right? HBCUs can go in there 100 times and they're not going to beat Florida State, but Prime know how to beat you, right? Because I'm going to tell you, after Eddie D got done, you know who else called Prime? We had 1 year for Prime, and Jerry couldn't stand it, man. Jerry lost his mind. That Jerry immediately got on the phone and said, I don't care what it costs. I'm signing Deion Sanders. I'm not letting them be San Francisco 49ers beat me, right? So now everybody's like, well, why don't you go approach the pros, Prime? One thing about Prime that he understands grown men, and he knows grown men who are getting a paycheck, some of them you cannot move. So there's no need in me going in a locker room and having a big old confrontation with a grown man that's under contract that they just gave $300 million like Dak Prescott and try to get him to play better. That's not going to happen, right? That's not going to happen. But when it comes to Prime and what he has done as an African-American male, folks, I'm just telling you, he has beat all odds, and he doesn't look at color. He just looks at whoever's the best is going to play, and if you doubt me, then you better keep on, because I've been doubted all my life, right? I mean, Prime was not just a regular athlete, right? Okay, and this deal about Travis Hunter, folks, let me let you guys on a little secret. Everybody played football that was halfway decent or somewhat good. We all played both ways. Everybody. I mean, you look at me. I played quarterback and defensive back. Everybody played both ways. Growing up, you never came off the field. And then when you got done with football, you went straight into basketball while they were in tryouts, and you went on and got 30 opening night, right? And then when you got done there, you went straight over to baseball. Prime, see, the thing about Prime and his mentality, he's teaching these boys, don't take a whole lot of practice. Either it's in you or it's not, right? So everybody said, oh, my God, you're going to destroy Travis Hearn. You know what Travis Hearn out there doing? Catching bass, catching big bass, right? He's out there just in the pond enjoying himself, right? And these are the things that college coaches don't do with their players. But see, Prime did it because he understood the value of relationships. And there's a few guys out there who can do it. Another one's Master P, man. Master P is a mastermind business mogul, understands basketball, right? People don't understand he can coach in the NBA, Master P, but he get a job, people are going to say, what's he doing, right? And so you got Shador and Stephen A. and all these guys, what about the Rolex getting to play? This young man has been around his father since day one, okay? They don't leave dad, right? He told him, he said, Shador is tough. But my other son, he's a knockout artist, right? So you got to look at this thing. It ain't about the Rolex. It's not about that, right? You know what this thing is really about? A maturation process of these young men at Colorado who are going into the NFL, and they're going to be, oh, you guys are excited? We already done that. We've already been there. See, these guys have already done it, so it's not going to be a big surprise to them when they go in there and they hear loud music in the locker room. Remember, oh, the culture's bad. Oh, this is bad. Oh, that is bad. And you know what I said to myself? I said, well, Prime, I've been knowing Prime so long and watching him. I knew he was up to something when he was visiting doing commercials with Nick Saban. He said, man, I ain't got no problem with Nick Saban. Nick, Alabama boosters, Nick went to him a year in advance and said, look, y'all going to have to ante up some money. I'm going to shut the house down, right? So Alabama, no, we don't have to have Deion's not gonna be this, Deion's not gonna be that. You know what Nick Saban said, man, you guys get somebody else because you ain't got enough money for me to coach Alabama, right? You ain't putting up enough money. And when Deion, I've never seen a coach the team, do the commercials, okay, do the press conferences, have his own brands. This is amazing. And you got the Colorado athletic director is shining down the banks. He's hosting the bankers in the suite, right? He's got all the bankers there because all the bankers are like, wow, what did you do here, right? Rick's the AD director. Turn that thing around. Trusted Prime, right? Everybody said he's going to fail. My. I think Coach JB need to give up his coaching card. I understand he did a lot of yelling over there, okay, in Mississippi, everywhere you went. But man, you ain't never coached like Prime. He can't never coach like Prime. In fact, it would be like if Prime coached against Coach JB, you know what it would be like? It would be like a professional coach going against a junior high coach. Why? Because the young men that he has are ready to run through a brick wall for him. And that's what you got to have as a football coach, not the one that's yelling, not the one that's teaching you. You got to have somebody who's going to be a father figure. And that's why the Rooney Rule is so important in the NFL because you got Mike Tomlin. You look at Deion, and everybody gets on Mike Tomlin can't coach. Well, you know, Mike Tomlin is the only NFL coach under the Rooney Rule who has never had a losing season. You have to really put that in perspective of all the men that have coached in the NFL. Now, Deion did all his coaching while he was on the NFL Network, got tired of being in the office, went on out to the stadiums, went on out to the practices, started talking to those young men, and I said, okay, now he's ready to coach, right? But I go back to Prime in the 80s. So this is 224. I'm sorry. I don't mean to say things in the wrong way, but I just got to be honest with you. I've been watching Prime do this so long, and I'm just watching Warren Sapp. And you get Warren Sapp, and you got old Schumer, Pat Shermer. Man, you know what? Half the people don't even know who Pat Shermer's dad was. His dad was Fritz Shermer, and he used to lock up Bill Walsh, okay, the San Francisco 49ers when he was with the LA Rams. I mean, he could call a defensive package that could shut you down, right? So it doesn't matter if you got more size. I mean, don't get me wrong, Texas Tech. I mean, they got some of the biggest corn-fed boys I ever seen in NCAA football, right? I mean, they got all the running backs are linemen, right? But it's not the size of the dog. It's the size of the fight in the dog, right? So when I put this down to you, and I tell you, Eddie D said, "Where is Prime?" Called up primetime Deion Sanders, and we got Prime for 1 year. Now it can't be but one king in the jungle. And you know, Prime and Jerry, you know, they didn't really see it. Because Prime, you know why? Let me tell you the real story behind that. It's a long time ago. And Prime can acknowledge it. See, Jerry was tight. Jerry was focused. Jerry never took an off season. Jerry worked until he became the greatest receiver in the game. Prime was more relaxed, like, come on, guys, we're gonna beat the brakes off these guys, right? So him and Jerry, they went back and forth, you know, and here's the thing with Prime. Prime's a really calm individual, but if you get him upset, man, this guy come unglued on you, right? So, you know, they had to separate him and Jerry. You know, they went on, won the Super Bowl. And then you know he was ready to get on out of here because you know he don't have time for a distraction, right? I'm coming in here helping you because you losing to Dallas. It's not like y'all coming in helping me. The 49ers didn't come help me. I came to help the 49ers, right? And that's what he did. They won a Super Bowl, then he left, went to Dallas, and won a Super Bowl the next year. So when I see him go up to Jackson State and win, I see him go up to Colorado and win, it's just a matter of time. But I think he's happy. I think he's comfortable. I think it's so beautiful out there. There's nothing more he can ask. It may get a little cold, but, you know, he's got Florida home. He's got a lot of places to go with his warm. I just wanted to take that moment and just walk you through because a lot of people have really down talk time. What are you, Paul Feinberg, Stephen A. Smith, and everybody's going to flip the script and come back around and tell you how much they love him, how much they were, all the NCAA coaches, everybody. But at the end of the day, you got to understand one thing. This man knows how to win. They said he wasn't going to win in the Big 12. He's doing that. I mean, every challenge you give him, you got to let it go sometime because this is the Money Mike Syndicated Radio Podcast. What I'm talking to you about, I didn't spend no time. Everybody talked about the game 41-27. You know, Colorado went into Texas Tech, took one down, right? I'm talking about prime time, the man behind the shield that everybody said couldn't do the job he's doing. And it's an African American male working with African American young men. And he's getting the best that he can for them, out of them, teaching them every day and letting them know you must have a principle in life. And that's where you must stand, right? So you get it in. They said no Rolexes, this or that, but that didn't really matter, right? It didn't matter. They said no sunglasses. Well, that didn't really matter either, right? So you just keep on pushing. I tell you, this young man here's a first round draft pick. I've seen a bunch of them, but man, he's special. He got a little special tick. So there's a few first rounders running around. And Big Matt Macheski, man, I appreciate you. And yeah, man, look, with Coach JB, let it go. Let it go. He ain't changing. He just is going to get it wrong all the time. I think we pulled this coaching card about 6 weeks ago. But that's how it go. Prime, NFL Network, San Francisco 49ers, Atlanta Braves, San Francisco Giants, New York Yankees. He's done it all. Put on the pinstripes. You know, so when you get the prime, there's nothing you're going to do. And Warren Sapp about the same. They get along. All the Hall of Famers, if you notice something about prime, everybody comes up there to see prime as a Hall of Famer. Doesn't matter if it's Ed Reed, Michael Irvin, Terrell Owens. It doesn't matter. They're all Hall of Famers, right? And the Hall of Famers, once you are, that's an exclusive club. Everybody can't get in there, right? You can't. Even Tom Brady jumped on that wagon and said, let me talk to this young quarterback. And Eddie D, man, we love you. San Francisco 49ers, we've been struggling, but we can't wait till we get it back. And you know what? You might have to get one of these young primes down in San Francisco just so we can get Prime visiting in the building. That's a good draft pick for you. Then he's got his nephew, Jed York, running it, but boss, you might just have to call Deion, just talk to him a little bit. Deion, go on, rub something on Jerry and let him know, man, hey, man, Jerry, you should have called me. But it is what it is. He's not trying to do the pro. He just loves where he's at. And his boy's going to take care of the pro. He'll go and watch him. I tell you that because this is the Money Mike Syndicated Radio Podcast. And that's my salute to prime time Deion Sanders, the man who said he couldn't coach. He couldn't win at HBCU. He couldn't win at Colorado. He just wasn't going to win anywhere. But he did just the opposite. And that's what he's always done. You know, it's funny how it works, but when you've been chosen and you've been God-gifted, you move to the front of the line. All things are possible to those who believe. And this is the Money Mike Syndicated Radio Podcast. We'll see you soon.